Practice Alexander. Shabbat for three. Bingo!
Curry will get it for the win. Got it! He is hard to believe.
Here's Jordan.
Yes. The Magic, a 360 turn with the dribble. Magic down the middle. Gives underneath to Worthy. Slammed up.
Third in the corner. Double fake.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to another 2022 NBA playoff recap. Before we get started, please make sure to subscribe on YouTube at Dime Dropper Podcast, Apple Podcasts, leave a review if you'd like, follow us on Spotify, and of course, to follow us on all social media platforms at Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Dime Dropper Pod. So for tonight's episode, we got two games on the schedule. Second round, you already know how it is, live in Los Angeles right now. Apologies again for going live a bit too late. I've got to be better with my time management. It's tough these days, ladies and gentlemen. So many distractions. I freaking hate my phone so much. If I have any advice to you guys, I'd say get away from your freaking phone as much as possible. I'm serious. Get away from that thing. It is the most addictive thing, more addictive than any drug or anything I've ever done. It is terrible, guys, and it can take people of all ages. But the younger you get started, the worse. And right now, I'm fucked. And it's even worse that with Dime Dropper, I'm involved with Twitter, Instagram, all this stuff, always on Twitter, trying to build that up. So it forces me to go on it. But yeah, guys, stay off of it as much as you can. Get some air, breathe. But let's get started for tonight's games. I just kind of like doing that. From now on, I'm going to see if ever have some practical advice to give and keep it a little bit away from basketball. I'm going to try to start doing that sometimes too. Because I feel like that's relatable. Get off your fucking phones. But if you're watching, unless you're watching me on your phone, that's different. Anyways, let's get into it. I'm going to start with the Celtics and the Bucks. And apologies, guys, again, with that time management. The reason why I say that is because I didn't get to watch the first quarter, and the Celtics kind of took the game in the first quarter. And it's so funny because I was talking to my friends today from Massachusetts, and I was like, the Celtics haven't led really by more than 1 point any of their home games so far in the playoffs. If they can get off to a hot start, Jalen and Jason Tatum get some shots, hit some shots early in the game, then maybe they can get some momentum. It just carries them on, the crowd's into it, and they kind of just don't give the Bucks a chance. And that's literally what they did. Exactly what they did. And it starts on the defensive end for Boston, always. The big thing, though, today was that Marcus Smart was out with a thigh contusion. Terrible loss, losing the Defensive Player of the Year. And of course, it's a huge loss, but hopefully it's not multiple games. And here's the thing, a lot of people we're starting to say, oh, Bucks going up 2-0. And it's like, man, if we're really counting if people are really counting the Celtics out that easily, especially when Chris Middleton's already out, so there's really no excuse for the Celtics. Chris Middleton, Marcus Smart, you can argue importance, which one's more important all day long. Chris Middleton is the better player, and the Celtics, I think if Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum hoop, Marcus Smart, as great as he is, you saw how amazing they were defensively tonight, even without him. I'm not saying that Marcus Smart's not important, doesn't help this team, he does. But no excuses for the Celtics, and they made none. They went out and got the job done from the get-go. And Jaylen Brown, we were talking, the main thing I said last episode was that they were not getting to the mid-range. They shot 53s as a team, and at the basket, Brook Lopez and Giannis and Bobby Portis were smothering everything. I looked at the highlight. First basket Jaylen Brown shot, drop coverage, stepped into that 18-footer. The shot that he became so good at last season, that was, in my opinion, the best regular season of his career before he got injured, especially at the beginning of the season. He was nuts. But Jaylen Brown was killing in the mid-range last year. So don't go away from that, even if you're so good at threes, because he shoots pretty efficiently. But man, don't neglect the mid-range. Mid-range wins chips. It's just the truth. And please don't be an idiot in my comments and say, what about DeRozan? There are always exceptions, man. The mental game is the most important of it all. It's all about the mental game, the confidence in the big moments. This is grown man basketball in the playoffs, my friends. Anyways, Jaylen Brown, getting to the mid-range, and getting stops leads to transition. And once he started hitting a couple jumpers, he was hitting everything that I saw in the highlights. Jason Tatum was hitting shots. Grant Williams finding him on driving kicks. And now you got to start honoring drives because you're honoring the 3-ball. And then you already know what happens. Dribble penetration. And plus, Milwaukee Bucks allowed what? 65 points in the first half? Let's check it up right now. 65 points in the first half. So they were down already 11 points, 32-21 after the first quarter. So there you go. Stamping your authority quickly. And 65 points is a lot. So it's hard to get out in transition because the Bucks, what was the main thing they did last game that I said? Got out in transition on misses. Transition threes. Grayson Allen, Connaughton, Giannis, drawing 2 defenders. Tonight, no transition. Charles said it best at halftime. No transition when you're constantly taking the ball out. Celtics did whatever they wanted. Well, I wouldn't say whatever they wanted, but they were in their rhythm. They were in rhythm, hitting shots early and continued. They went a little cold, though, in the second half. Giannis stepped it up in the second half, but the way they guarded Giannis, constantly having help ready, 2 guys on him, what I saw in the second half. Even Peyton Pritchard forced a turnover on him one-on-one, forcing him out of bounds, stepped on the line, created a lot of offensive fouls. And Giannis, the thing about him is he needs to kind of, if his jump shot is a bit suspect still. And he only shot 4 threes tonight, made 1, but they're really sagging off, going underneath screens. There were some where it's like they're leaving him open for like 12-footers. And that mid-range is important. And if you're just going to, he literally, I'm sorry, and I really like Giannis. I've said he's, in my opinion, the best player in the NBA right now. But he's just charging into people constantly. I don't know how sustainable that is. You know what I'm saying? He needs to do it. He needs to simplify it a little bit more. He can't go back to that. He's not doing it like he used to, where he did it from the top of the key. But the Celtics have some really good defenders. And in the half court, Giannis needs to stay away from these offensive fouls and constant extensions. And he just lowers the shoulder. He could get called for so many offensive fouls, guys. I'm being serious. He just needs to be careful, is all I can say. He gets the superstar benefit of that. But tonight he did not. And I liked it. And even tonight he got some calls I saw that were just some calls they didn't call where I was like, geez, 6 turnovers tonight for Giannis. 28 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists, but 11 for 27 from the field. They did the job on him. He had a good second half. Third quarter he had 16 points. But again, they took it away early. That's all that mattered. 3 for 18. That's all the threes that the Bucks shot. 18. That's like 2000s right there. 2000s amount of attempts. 18 threes. Wow. And then the Celtics, 20 for 43 from 3. Totally different night for them. They were hot in the first half. It was really all about that first half. Jaylen Brown, 30 points, just answering the call, exactly what they needed. 11 for 18 from the field, 6 for 10 from 3. Jason Tatum, 10 for 20, 5 for 10 from 3, played 43 minutes, 29 points and 8 assists, 3 steals and a block. Al Horford, 11 and 11. He was just, from what I was watching, just awesome, as he's been all playoffs. Derek White was 0 for 6, but I'd have to think he played good defense, playing 28 minutes and plus 22. He had to have played some good defense out there, especially when you only allowed 86 points to the Bucks. Rob Williams, 10 points, 5 rebounds, had some nice dunks in transition that I saw, 4 for 5. And then Grant Williams, 21 points from him, 6 for 9 from deep. Grant Williams, there were even some plays where I thought the Celtics also started getting a little bit too into the driving kick, where they were neglecting floaters and little in-between shots in the second half. But Grant Williams was making some plays where now people are closing out at him hard, and he can drive and kick, and it's beautiful just how much that 3-ball has opened up his game and made him able to stay on the court for longer minutes. Ime doesn't want to take him out because now he's got the 3 and the D. He's always had the D, now he's got the 3. And that creates other opportunities for you as a player. And he is seizing those. So great win for the Celtics. They did exactly what they had to do. 109-86 was the final score from TD Garden. Did a great job on Giannis. Both games have held Giannis to pretty inefficient shooting nights. So they're doing a great job on him. And Giannis, what I think Giannis's adjustment needs to embrace the low post back to basket a little bit more. But he needs to, I'd hope he has the fundamentals. I saw it last year, I believe, to be dominant in the low post without committing offensive fouls, swinging the elbow so hard, lowering the shoulder constantly, without ramming into people. Go up strong, but don't need to do all the extras. I think he's capable of doing that. A little bit of that low post, keep continuing to start your move as deep as possible, less ball handling behind the foul line and top of the key. Because you'll still draw the two defenders running full speed, but it's very easy to get offensive fouls and they can build the wall. And then you're just relying on your shooters to hit threes. So low post, mid post, catch the ball at the elbows. But that mid-range shot unlocks everything. And he's been hitting that this year. So he's got to be able to hit that. I think he will. But do I think this series is going 3-1 back to Boston? Fuck no. I think it's going 2-2. We're going to have a series, but this game 3 is going to be really interesting. I think Giannis is going to have an efficient night. He's going to be great. But the C's, it's all about if Marcus Smart can play too, that's big. But let's move on. Shout out to everybody in the comments or in the live chat. Super chats are turned on if you want to drop $1 or a dime. And now let's go to the Memphis Grizzlies and the Warriors. All right. Memphis and Golden State. So what's crazy is I turned this game on 4 minutes in, and I had already missed so much. That's what was so action-packed about this game. Another action-packed game in this series. These first 2 games have been thrilling. Also, head-scratching at times. I'm going to get into that. But by the time I turned on the game, I had heard that Gary Payton Jr. had a wrist injury of some sort. Now it turns out he has a fractured elbow, which is huge news. And I'm going to talk about the implications of that in a second. But Dylan Brooks, he's had a history of making somewhat dirty plays in the league and just being aggressive. And I just don't agree with hitting guys in the air. It's very dangerous, and we've seen injuries with that so much. And it's just, thank God you're in a gym. I always imagine people outside because whenever I imagine going up, I'm usually playing outside. But hitting guys in the air is just so dangerous. And now you have a serious injury because of that. Dylan Brooks got ejected from the game. That's a big loss for the perimeter defense of Memphis. And then Draymond Green got elbowed in the eye, unintentionally though. And he was out of the game when I turned the game on. So I'm just watching the game, and the Memphis Grizzlies were up 8-1 already. So they had gotten off to a pretty good start. And Ja Morant was hitting the 3-ball again tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Hitting that 3-ball, and he was hitting it late. It was the difference maker in the game. It totally opened up his game a little bit more and just made the Warriors pay for the way that they were guarding him. But early on, I thought Ja was able to get to the rim first and foremost, because without Gary Payton now, it's like other than Andrew Wiggins, who's standing in front of Ja? The Warriors are going to switch everything a lot. Who's standing in front of him and can do a great job? No help. He was getting into that paint tonight, 2 feet. They don't have the same length that the Minnesota Timberwolves did. And Steph Curry, he had a fantastic defensive game to me tonight. I thought he was everywhere, getting over every screen, getting his hands on loose balls, getting his hands in the passing lanes. But he's not going to be the guy that's going to guard Ja one-on-one. And I know he did it last game, late game, but throughout the game, that's not sustainable. That's not what if that's your best option, good luck. Wiggins is the best option. We saw that more in the second half, but I don't know, guys. It's because the 3-ball opened up the game for Ja. That's really it. But Draymond's absence was also felt on that end because they didn't have rim protection for a little bit. However, Jordan Poole, thought first half was making some fantastic passes. The actions with Steph Curry and Jordan Poole setting screens for one another are really, really hard to guard. Ja Morant usually involved in those pick and rolls. The Warriors were going to putting Ja Morant in the pick and pop a lot. And you got to show on Steph Curry off the dribble. You've got to throw 2 at him for a second. And Jordan Poole on that short roll, it's dangerous, ladies and gentlemen. It's dangerous. They just carve you apart, the Warriors. And the off-ball movement, they'll blitz Steph Curry, right? He'll throw it up Jordan Poole, and you'll have somebody in the dunker spot already and Poole with the ball. And then all the attention's on that dunker and Poole, Wiggins or Clay will just cut out of nowhere and just give him another option going to the basket. It's just everyone on the Warriors just adopts that off-ball aspect to the game in this Kerr era, and it's incredible to watch. It's kind of Spurs-esque in its own way, the way they move the ball, the way they played so unselfishly. The Warriors do that in a similar way, but it's a different era of basketball. More pick and roll, more centered around certain ball handlers. Anyways, I thought the Golden State Warriors or the Memphis Grizzlies started out the game really well. 33-25 after one. And without Dillon Brooks, I thought Steph Curry, he was having his way for the most part in terms of getting by guys. I thought he shot a lot of threes, some ill-advised threes in the game. Even Steph Curry, some shots, some ill-advised, mostly in the second half. But I just thought he was getting off the dribble really well and making a lot of plays. The guy, though, that really struggled for the Warriors tonight shooting the ball, Klay Thompson. Another tough shooting night for him. And this time he wasn't lucky enough to make the big plays to make up for it. Second quarter, Andrew Wiggins had a filthy dunk. And the Warriors, again, really missed. Well, Draymond re-entered the game. But the Grizzlies were having their defensive issues. They couldn't stay in front of Poole and Curry. John Morant, I thought his effort tonight on defense was a lot better. He had some nice defensive plays with active hands. But the problem is when the Grizzlies, when they go with Jaron Jackson Jr. at the 5, and they did for a certain stretch of the second quarter, they switch everything, right? And Ja, he's going to need some help on defense, right? On certain guys, Jordan Poole's, Steph Curry. They could not stay in front of Jordan Poole, although I can't really blame them one-on-one. And the Warriors obviously have shooters, so hard to help sometimes. But when the Grizzlies go to that switch everything, John Morant, it was less his on-ball defense that was hurting him, but more when he would get cross-matched on Andrew Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins was getting a lot of offensive rebounds. And the Warriors, because of that switch, when the Grizzlies tried to switch everything, were getting a lot of offensive rebounds, which is crazy because that's the exact opposite. And it's the second game in a row we're talking about this. Exact opposite of what everyone was saying, including myself, going into the series, where the Grizzlies got so many offensive rebounds on the Wolves. And tonight, 14 offensive rebounds for the Warriors to 12 for the Grizzlies, but that evened out in the second half. They were getting a lot of second chance points in the first half. The Warriors were. Somebody I thought, so talking about rotations, right, with Dillon Brooks out, we saw more DeAnthony Melton tonight. I thought he was spectacular. He had some incredible blocks, huge blocks, timely. I thought he actually, but offensively, 1 for 5, 1 for 4 from deep. I don't think he got much run for him, really. Didn't get many opportunities to play make because I've seen DeAnthony Melton play make and pick and roll and come off screens for jumpers and very, play make a little bit. But it was mostly a Ja night tonight. It was a Ja takeover. He put the team on his back and was fantastic, especially late in the game. But Draymond Green, by the way, Draymond Green came back in the second quarter, and I thought he looked great. He was making some amazing reads to the cutting Klay Thompson. And Klay Thompson, he was not hitting his 3-ball tonight, but he was fine. The baskets that he was scoring, great back cuts. Just great back or slipping the screens. He's so great at that. Such great off-the-ball move. He's such a great off-ball player. Two of the best, people talk about they're two of the best shooters of all time, but I don't know about all time in terms of off-ball movement for Klay, but he's up there. In this era, Steph Curry is all-timer off the ball. Klay Thompson, you can argue he's an all-timer off the ball, but in this era, he's one of the best for sure. That makes them so easy to play with. That's what made it so easy for KD to play with them. Because Klay Thompson dropped 60 points on like 13 dribbles? That tells you right there. It's just off-the-ball movement, quick decisions, quick catch and shoot, knows how to free himself. But tonight, 2 for 12 from deep. Hurt him a lot. By the way, somebody we saw today with Dillon Brooks out was Zaire Williams. We have not seen much of him in the playoffs, but why we haven't seen much of him in the playoffs is a mystery to me after tonight because his versatility in terms of being able to guard multiple guys, he's like, I don't know how tall this guy is, but I'm going to actually take a look right now. He's listed as a shooting guard. He's 6'9". Okay, so there you go. 6'9" shooting guard. So no wonder he looks so tall. Switching on to multiple guys. He can guard Klay, he can guard Wiggins, he can guard Draymond, guard Curry, Poole, everybody. And it was really helping. But as I said, with the switching, Ja was getting cross-matched a little bit. And he ended the half with some amazing finishes, John Morant. One of them when he spun over his right shoulder, hung in the air at the body of Draymond, was unbelievable. And that's another thing. The Warriors don't really have rim protection. Kevon Looney only played 9 minutes. So when Jonathan Kuminga, who came in the middle of the second quarter, by the way, I don't know why they didn't play him earlier. I think that was a mistake. But Jonathan Kuminga and Otto Porter are really the only guys. And you saw a little bit of Damian Lee, 8 minutes of him. And I didn't think he was that bad, honestly. Made a shot. The only shot he took, he made was a mid-range off good ball movement. And of course, Jordan Poole's coming off the bench. Otto Porter and Jonathan Kuminga, though, that's not real rim protection. So your tallest guy out there is going to be one of those two or Draymond. That's a difference from where Karl-Anthony Towns was, or playing against Karl-Anthony Towns, I should say, with the Wolves. That's the way the Wolves were guarding him, too. Karl-Anthony Towns was showing on a lot of those screens to just take that instant line drive away from Ja, instant downhill. And when he got to the rim, they were doing a great job of swarming him last minute. The Warriors have not been as sharp on those rotations, and I'm wondering if they don't really even have the length that the Wolves had with Vanderbilt, with Jaden McDaniels. And, of course, a guy like Patrick Beverley. I mean, Steph Curry's good, but Patrick Beverley, he's going to hound. He's a good guy to guard Ja because he's so great at screen navigating and getting around. And they were doing a much better job with Ja. More rim protection. Should the Warriors start hedging and recovering? This is the thing. That's not their defensive principle. They like to switch. They did a little bit of that with Curry at times today. However, that's better for the guard-to-guard stuff. With the big, I don't know. It's a dilemma. It's a dilemma for sure. Because the thing is, if you start forcing Ja to move the ball, you get Desmond Bain potentially going again. And that's the last thing the Warriors need. Because they're going to need this Ja strategy. Ja Morant, 18 points in the fourth quarter, just absolutely took over the game. 47 points. It ended with 47 points. Like, I don't know if that's going to happen again in San Francisco. They're going to need some help from other guys. They're going to need Ja to trust those other guys. But if they start, but Ja was really taking what the defense was giving him. And if the Warriors are switching everything like that, he's going to be, and there's no Gary Payton besides Andrew Wiggins, who's really going to be able to guard him? Who's going to be able to stay in front? Jordan Poole, he was getting attacked a lot on defense. A lot. Somebody, by the way, who I thought was not helpful, and it pains me to say this, Kyle Anderson. He just looked like, he couldn't shoot. They were sagging off like crazy. He's not speedy to get off the bounce like that, get by you. He's just crafty and tries to use his body. And he was just not great, I don't think. And he played a good amount of minutes. The Warriors really would have been up if they had just taken care of the ball in the first half, but they just turned the ball over way too much the entire game, really. Third quarter, by the way, was so interesting. A game of runs, a complete game of runs. Grizz would get it up to 10 because Ja was continuing to make threes. And then the Grizz start panicking. Warriors get a couple of buckets, cut it back down to 4. Grizzlies go back up to 10. Poole was kind of quiet in the third, but Curry, he was making plays. And Xavier Tillman was making plays. And one adjustment I saw from the Grizzlies was they were going more hedge recover with the Warriors, forcing them to move the ball instead of just switching. And by the way, I thought Xavier Tillman was making plays, especially in that third quarter. He only played 13 minutes, but he had an and one. He was able – I remember one time he got out to the three-point line really well, and some of the closeouts from the Grizzlies players were really good tonight. And I just thought that he had some good minutes there for them. 7 points for him, 6 rebounds, 3 or 4 shooting. Somebody who I thought was ridiculous tonight in the bad sense, Jaron Jackson Jr. Does he even know that he's in foul trouble? It feels like he has no idea with the way that he plays. I don't even know what to say. Fouled out again tonight. Reckless. His help is great. Last second help at the rim. But the problem is sometimes he just doesn't have control of his body. Sometimes he flings it around recklessly. He needs to be much smarter going forward, not just in this series, but in this career, obviously. That's another thing he's going to have to improve on. Man, it was brutal. But by the way, Desmond Bain played 32 minutes tonight, only 7 shots. So that's what I'm saying. A lot of switch everything. Ja Morant, downhill. And he was hitting the mid-range. They were going underneath a lot of screens, even like somewhat close to the foul line. So John Morant tonight was actually kind of hitting his mid-range, and he even hit a floater like right outside the foul line. He had a good shooting night tonight, and that changed a lot. And I'm not going to lie, people can't stay in front of John Morant without hand checking. And they were calling a lot of hand check fouls tonight on both sides. But what they weren't calling was when Ja in the second half especially, and Curry, by the way, too, a lot of people at the rim, John Curry specifically, were just getting hammered at the rim. How are you going to call these ticky-tack perimeter fouls, hand checking, but when they get to the rim, they're getting mauled, and it's not, mauled is a strong word, but hit at the rim for sure. Contact, not being able to land, the same calls that get called on the perimeter, if not more, and more contact at the rim, mind you. Same concept, though, not able to land cleanly. Come on. I don't know if that's good for the game, but and also, Ja just sometimes when teams hand check him, he feels the arm in the cookie jar and he goes up to try to get the foul. And sometimes they're really fouls, and he wasn't getting those tonight. But Warriors, when they went to the a lineup that can switch more with Kuminga and Otto Porter, a lot of length, it was pretty good. I thought Kuminga actually gave them some pretty good minutes. He had 9 points, 5 boards, 3 for 7 shooting, good in that dunker spot. Draymond threw him one nice lob in transition. But I thought the Grizzlies defense just stepped up in the third. But they just didn't score enough because they got reckless and started just chucking threes. I thought they were about to lose the game just chucking threes. Decent looks for the most part, but quick shots early in the shot clock to me. And you know what they were doing a poor job of too? All the turnovers the Warriors had, they were not doing a great job capitalizing off of them. Like the Warriors were actually capitalizing off the Grizzlies' mistakes to me, much better. For example, there was one possession in the first quarter, 3 wide open threes, but they just kept shooting 3. I thought after you're missing 2 threes on the same possession, you wouldn't shoot a third 3, especially when John Morant was the third shooter, missed them, and then Klay Thompson makes a 3 in transition the other way. You pay for that against great teams. You know, the Grizzlies in that third quarter stretch when I was talking about game of runs, up and down, up 10, down, up 10, up 4, all that. That's what they were doing, taking quick shots. Warriors would come down, taking quick shots or turning the ball over for rushing, and the Warriors are capitalizing off of them. Steph Curry especially, I thought he was, outside of some of those turnovers, was making some – he had some nice mid-ranges tonight, just stopping on a dime or stepping back. Beautiful. 29 points for Ja going into the third, and you think that's a lot, right? Klay Thompson was just broke all game, but fourth quarter was electric. Absolutely electric. And this is what happened. Jaron Jackson Jr. Foul in the beginning of the quarter on what I'm talking about, that help defense last second, but just jumping into the contest. The Grizzlies, I thought they were going to blow the game because they had several chances to take the lead, and they didn't capitalize because they were shooting quick threes. But Curry had 2 straight turnovers at one point in the fourth, and they got penalized. Neck-to-neck game down the stretch. Curry was hit. I thought Curry was having some success late. Like you missed. I thought they missed Brooks late in the game defensively on Curry because he was getting by people for fun and creating good shots. And Andrew Wiggins and Klay Thompson, they got a lot of solid looks. I thought Klay was jacking a little bit too much though, taking some shots that weren't there, trying to get himself in rhythm. And that was exactly the criticism we had of him in the regular season that we had concerns about in the playoffs. And he hadn't been doing that really against Denver. He was hitting. And finally here in the Memphis series so far, he's had some struggle shooting the ball these first 2 games. Tonight, 5 for 19 for him and 2 for 12 from 3 and 12 points. And then Andrew Wiggins. I thought Andrew Wiggins was good because his defense is good. And he had 5 offensive rebounds and 9 overall and 16 points, which was the third leading scorer for the Dubs. 6 for 16, but 1 for 7 from 3. And a lot of those were just wide open. The Warriors did a good job of staying attached to guys like Desmond Bain, but that also allows Ja to have more lanes. The thing about the Wolves was seemed like they were just swarming him the second he hit the paint if he did. And they were trying to keep him out of it by hedging and recovering, and that was forcing the good ball movement by the Grizz. But the Warriors take a different approach, and one-on-one, Ja's got such a great first step. And even when you go underneath the screens, he does a great job of just because when you go underneath the screens, the guy has space. A lot of guys tend to shoot with that space, but Ja, he takes that to try to get downhill. And he's so good at that, and his hang time is just phenomenal. And the Warriors don't have the same rim protection as I talked about earlier. The length of Otto Porter and Kuminga feels a little bit more like the Wolves, and I thought they had a little bit more success that way. But I still prefer, Draymond, obviously Gary Payton Jr., and that's just a huge loss. Both teams started switching everything late, and Jaron Jackson Jr. was not a part of that because he fouled out of the game, not knowing where Draymond was. Draymond, the savvy veteran, knew he had 5 fouls, stood there to set a screen, and Jaron Jackson just ran into him not knowing, and that was it for him. But both teams were switching everything, and John Morant was getting Jordan Poole a lot in that pick and roll, even Klay Thompson here and there, and he was getting 2 feet in the paint at will. It was insane. He was taking over the game. He hit threes. He got to the rim, hang time. There was one play where he broke Jordan Poole on a half spin. It was insane. He was putting on a show. Superstar stuff by number 12, taking over the game. And the Warriors, I honestly thought they were still going to pull it out, funny enough. They were down by 3 points after Ja just kept answering. And Klay Thompson traveled on a pump fake. It was brutal. And the Warriors fell after Ja made 2 free throws to seal the game, 106-101. A game that was there for the taking for the Warriors, but it really was a must-win for the Grizzlies and a historic night for Ja. And listen to this stat, guys. With the 47 points that he scored, he joins only 2 players to have 45-plus points twice at 22 or younger in NBA history. And guess who those 2 guys are? Kobe Bryant and LeBron James. Elite company, I'd say. Obviously, yes, different era, but elite nonetheless. 47 points, 15 for 31 shooting, 5 for 12 from deep. That's the big one, the threes. 12 threes for Ja, but he hit him. And he hit him in the fourth. 18 points for him in the fourth. 12 for 13 from the line. He hit his free throws as well. He was amazing. My only criticism is going to be going forward. I just think that was too much. Just like I criticized with Luka yesterday, too much jaw ball. I don't think he's going to be able to do that every single game. I just don't think he'll be able to hit those threes every single game and those mid-ranges. And the Warriors are going to do a better job of swarming the paint. However, I don't know how much they're going to buy into that because Dillon Brooks, Desmond Bain, let's see if they beat him. Let's see how Desmond Bain plays because 7 shots is nothing. Absolutely nothing. 5 points for Bain, 2 for 7. Thought he played some decent defense, but he was really quiet. Jaron Jackson Jr., 12.7 boards, 3 for 14 shooting. He had a pretty good shooting first half, but he was part of that chucking I was talking about in the third quarter. 2 for 7 from 3. Just his IQ needs to get better. Basketball IQ, of course. Brandon Clark, typical good minutes. 10 points for him. Off the bench, though, tonight. He went to the bench. Pretty sure they started Xavier Tillman last game, too, though. 4 for 4 from the field for him. Didn't miss. Thought he gave him quality minutes. Zaire Williams, though, 14 points, 5 rebounds. He hit 2 big threes to make it, I remember, to give them the lead 86-83. 5 for 9 from the field and 4 for 8 from 3. Guarded basically everybody. The Grizzlies shot 45 threes. They made 14 of them, 31%. See, that's not great. The Warriors just turned the ball over 18 times, and Steph Curry was part of that. Draymond Green was part of that. Draymond had 6 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists, 4 turnovers, 3 for 5 shooting. I thought he was actually pretty good, but I was looking at this game more from a Grizzlies fan perspective, so I may have missed some subtle things because it was a must-win for Memphis, and they got the job done. It was the Ja show, but Zaire Williams was big as well. And the hustle was there. They just kind of were shooting themselves in the foot with their decision-making sometimes. They did take care of the ball a lot better than the Warriors, though only 12 turnovers for them. But yeah, heroics from Ja. See if they missed anybody for the Warriors that's big. Klay Thompson, as I talked about, 12 points, 5 for 19, 2 for 12 from deep. Otto Porter, 1 for 4. Didn't really give any shots off. Jordan Poole, 20 points. 3 rebounds, 5 assists, 8 for 16 shooting, but 1 for 6 from deep. The Warriors, 7 for 38 from 3 tonight. Did not have a good shooting night at all. I thought Curry took some ill-advised shots with a lot of time on the shot clock at times. And, it's playoff basketball, Steph. I know you're Steph, but sometimes I think, especially on the road, be a little more patient. You guys get great shots. The Warriors get so many easy baskets and layups from cuts and just the attention Steph Curry gets. Because the thing about it is, if you want to take away those layups, you got to give him easy. You got to give him some threes, some easier threes. Steph Curry, a lot of these threes that he's shooting are not that easy. There was one terrible miscommunication though late in the game with Memphis where it was Steph setting the screen and he even really need to set one. It was like he faked the screen and Zaire Williams and Ja did not communicate, probably because they haven't played much playoff basketball together yet. And Steph popped out and hit a wide open three of all people to leave open on that Steph. But they adjusted on the next possession and got the job done. 106-101, the Grizz win it. And both teams just did not shoot well. The Grizz shot well from the free throw line, though, 95%. Warriors win the rebound battle again by 5, 52-47, but didn't matter. In the end, those 7 threes made a huge difference. They shot 7 more and they made 7 more. Warriors need to be better. 18 turnovers. It comes down to that, but also comes down to Klay Thompson hitting shots, and I'm sure they will. I think the Warriors go up 3-1. I don't think Ja will have another game like that, but kudos to him. It was unbelievable. That's it for me tonight, guys. Super chats are turned on. If you want to drop $1 or $10 in the live chat, let me know what you thought of this one. I'm a little bit tired, so sorry if I wasn't as coherent and as I know I got a little bit out of sorts there. It felt like in the middle, but hey, tell me what you thought. Peace out. None of the live chat. Ooh, my computer's gonna die. Thank God I can take a drink of water here now, fellas. Wow, 19 people. My God, that's more than I thought we were gonna be in here. Was I all over the place there, guys? I feel like I kind of was. I was more on the second quarter, and then I randomly went to the fourth. What do you guys like better for my structure? Do you like it when I just give no fucks in that way, or do you think it's better when I go kind of quarter by quarter, or should I just start with not, like don't care about giving kind of like spoilers, just say shit in the like say shit about like the fourth or the ending, even in the first 5 minutes of the pod? Let me know. Hot take, but I think Gilgeous-Alexander for 3 bingo is more iconic than the lob the jam. Well, Gilgeous-Alexander for 3 bingo was one play. The lob the jam was like you got to compare bingo to the lob the jam, not that play. My boy Yerm, he says Ja's that dude. Cameron says, love to see Ja humbling the Warriors. Hopefully they're not going back to Memphis down 3-1. Hopefully they are. My boy Ryan says, as long as the Jays play good, we're clear. Facts. By the way, big win for Liverpool today. I wanted to mention that as well. I did it on the podcast because it didn't occur to me, but huge. To the Champions League final, they go for the 3rd time in 5 years. Yikes. The quadruple is still on for them, crazy enough. Beat Chelsea in the most ridiculous Capital One Cup or Carabao Cup game final ever that I've ever seen, with like 10 goals that were offside, with a Kepa Arrizabalaga getting kept in by Tommy Tuchel. I love Tuchel, though. Don't get it twisted. And missing a pen, skying it at Wembley. Ugh. We got to beat them in the FA Cup final. We got to get an FA Cup out of the season at the least. Now, obviously, in the Premier League race with City, we need City tomorrow, City Real Madrid. We need City to get this job done for the streets. We need that City Liverpool Champions League final. They've been the best 2 teams in the world for the last 4 years, for the most part. And we need it. We need to see it in the Champions League final. Cameron says, we're not rocking with the Celtics around here. Fuck with Jaylen Brown heavy. That's really it. Never liked the franchise. Interesting. So frustrated now at Brooks, says Kyle's take. Sorry about that, Kyle. Clay with the ultimate sell job today. June 28th, July says, build wall like Trump. What the fuck does that mean? Kyle's take. Oh, build wall. Oh, because Giannis. Yeah, Kyle says, I know it's probably not going to happen, but Brooks needs multiple game suspensions, if not the whole series. You just can't do that to anybody and get away with it. We'll see. Dime, who's winning a Bucks-Warriors series if Chris Schmidt is healthy? I got to see more. That's a final series, so as of now, I can't say. I'd lean Milwaukee, though. Ryan says, Clay been stinking it up. Just this series. He's been great in the first round. Don't be so harsh. Kyle says, Steph and Clay were taking really dumb shots, especially in the closing of the game. Yeah. Sam says, Melton's so underrated. Just a guy on YouTube says, Ja Ray looks like an upcoming superstar. And my friends, I think he is right now. Melton's a fellow Valley boy. 818 represent. Facts. USC as well. Right Chowdhury says, Ja joins Kobe. Yep, he said it. I want the Grizzlies to win, but at the same time, I want to see a Suns-Warriors conference finals with CP3 Curry rematch. Facts. The Streets need that as well, just like that's Champions League final. Kyle says, Ja had a great game and we almost won. Bain was absent for 2 games. Honestly, we can take it, but yeah, with GB2 injury, I don't really feel great. That's the thing I didn't talk about because I'm an idiot. The long-term implications of Gary Payton not being healthy. That kills I don't know if the Warriors can win the championship without him. I really don't. On-ball defenders, Jordan Poole and Steph. Steph's decent. But if he's your second best, you're in trouble. Klay Thompson is not the same as he once was defensively. He gets blown by the quicker guards. He's not guarding Kyrie's anymore. No, not like the past. I don't think so, man. It's going to be tough. Can't rely on Damian Lee. Right? It says, is Desmond Bain hurt? I keep seeing people online saying that he's playing hurt. Yeah, maybe. I mean, this is crazy. But it's also the schemes. They're switching everything. Forcing more one-on-one ball. Desmond Bain is not really a one-on-one guy. He's off catching shoots, being better in the pick and roll. He takes tough shots, Desmond. He said he was questionable today when it came to the injury report. But yeah, he probably, there you go. Wasn't 100%, I guess. Was he hurt last game too? Cameron at Selly says, kind of worried the 4-day break between games won't allow the Grizz to capitalize on the momentum. We'll see. By the way, how about Liverpool VAA? I said, yeah. Just a guy on YouTube says, Jaylen Brown breaking Grayson Allen's ankles was beautiful. Damn, I didn't even see that. Cameron says, I'm balling. Usual like Kobe. 24. Uzi? Those are my original videos. You see Ja exchanging words with Steph when the game ended? Kind of, yeah. Hey, man, all's fair in the love of war, right? Or love and war, whatever. Trash talking is fair game in the playoffs. Right? It says, when Steph hit that open 3 to go up 4, I thought it was over, but props to Memphis. Yeah, I thought it was they were going to pull away. Kyle Stake says, could be up 3-1, but still very frustrating because this was a massive opportunity to win, and we just folded. I wouldn't say folded. I think you guys just kind of blew it. Salah said he wants to play Madrid in the final. Right. Salah doesn't dictate who wins. Right? It says, Darian, thoughts on Rafael Varane retiring? What? Is that true? Just a guy on YouTube says, quarter by quarter with some improv is a good structure you do. Okay. Keep it as is. All right. I was talking about Brandon Knight. Oh. Yeah, in the playoffs, I'll always take over the Brandon Knight. Always. Wait, Darian, what's going on in the Champions League? How many teams are left? 3. We're trying to find, it's going to be 2 tomorrow. Final will be set. Just a guy on YouTube says, if Boston continues to slow down Giannis, what do you think of this Boston defense compared to past top defenses? I mean, they're pretty damn great, but are they going to win the series? If you stop Giannis, cool, but if you lose the series, who gives a shit? So let's talk about the series. Right? It says, who's the better player, Dave Bing or Lou Hudson? Oh, my goodness. I don't know. I got to watch more film, but I haven't finished their careers. I think Dave Bing is a little more special, though. He gives me that it factor vibes. He just played for a shitty Detroit team in the beginning of his career where I'm at. Lou Hudson is a sniper, but I don't know. Against Jerry West, he folds. Like, his stats go down the drain. I've read newspaper articles that he, just rips him. Like, to get swept as the higher seed, all those games are close, too. That means you're choking up late in games. So I think Dave Bing is so nasty. I haven't seen him play a full playoff game, though. So it's really hard to make those comparisons. You know what I mean? Because I haven't seen him play a full playoff game. I mean, if we're talking skill set, I think Dave Bing's the better defender from what I've seen. Dave Bing is definitely a better ball handler. Shooting is Hudson, but Dave Bing can shoot the shit out of the ball. Yeah, I think Dave Bing averaged 27 points. Dave Bing's more athletic. He's not as tall. I'm going to go with Dave. Right? It said, never mind, Darian. I think a fake report about Varane. Yeah, I was about to say, bro, he's 30. Worst NBA contracts of all time. Oh, man. Luol Deng with the Lakers. Timofey Mozgov. More of this era because you can overpay so much now. Jeez. Al Horford with the Sixers was pretty bad. But yeah, those are some of the first that come to my mind. John Wall ended up being bad with the Wizards, but that was just because injuries. Yeah, John Wall. There you go. You said it yourself. Where would you rank Rafael Varane among all the center backs in the world? He's been pretty injured this year, hasn't he? I don't know, man. I don't watch enough other leagues right now to make a good determination. I think Ryan would know in the chat would know more than that. Top 10? Lower half? Maybe? I don't even know anymore. Tyler Hero, 6 man of the year. Oh, I should have said something about that. I'm going to say that. Here, I'm going to put something in my notes next for tomorrow's episode. Well, Ben Simmons' contract sucks too. He's supposed to be young, though. He's young. I mean, he's supposed to be good. We'll see. He's probably overpaid. Yeah, Lou All Things with the Lakers just ended this year. Oh, Chandler Parsons was terrible. Yeah. That one was bad. He had some injuries, though, and just fell off, huh? But anything else, boys? 18 of you in here. That's pretty good. Only like 5 of you are talking. You got something to say? Put my computer charger in before it dies. Top 10. Let's see. Ryan says top 10 probably write-off season. He's been injured too much. I kept forgetting we had him. Yeah, there you go. Too many injuries. Yeah, you can't really put it in there. Just a guy on YouTube says, I don't understand why people wanted Ben Simmons to play last series when he hasn't played since he choked, and team chemistry means so much in the playoffs. Yeah, that's throwing shit to the wall, hoping that sticks. Kyle's take says Wiggs' contract was supposed to be really bad, but he resurrected with the dubs. Yeah. Showtime Nick says, I'm here, but just didn't say anything yet. All right, I will now before it's too late. What's up, Showtime Nick? Jaws that dude, he says. Elvin Hazer, Jack Twyman. Oh my God. I love Jack Twyman. Rest in peace. He's hilarious, especially as the commentator. He can score, he can shoot, but hell no. Nah. Elvin Hayes is an all-timer, man. Like any era could be a beast. Man, I'm not saying Jack Twyman couldn't. That's unfair to Jack. But Elvin Hayes, you could like literally teleport him. I feel like he could just be nasty. He's selfish from what I've heard, but he's a monster, dude. This dude led the league in scoring in his first season in 69 and still didn't win Rookie of the Year because Wes Unseld won. But he got the San Diego Rockets to the playoffs. And they didn't even get swept. They won 2 games, I think. They did win 2 games, 4-2 against the Hawks. I got to make sure I got that right. I'll be so pissed if I don't. Elvin Hayes. He played with, you know what's crazy on that team? He played with Pat Riley, Rick Adelman, Stu Lance. Isn't that hilarious? All guys that would go on to be very prominent NBA players. Here we go. San Diego Rockets. Finished 4th. Lost in 6 against the Hawks. Let's go. Got it right. Yeah. Jack McMahon. Elvin Hayes, 28-17. Come on now. As a rookie. 23-year-old rookie, but Don Kojas, he also made the All-Star team. Remember, that season, 69, Elvin Hayes and Don Kojas, they're in my video. In my first Time Machine episode 1. So go check those out. Yeah, Stu Lance was on this team. Jim Barnett, the old color commentator for the Golden State Warriors. Now he's working radio. Rick Adelman, Pat Riley. Didn't make it the next year, though. The Phoenix Suns did. Phoenix Suns. Phoenix Suns are the real deal, man. When they got Connie Hawkins, of course. And the Chicago Bulls got Chet Walker from the Sixers. That was a big addition for them. So, then obviously the year I'm on, they're not making the playoffs. But Elvin Hayes, 29-17, like every year. 29-16.5 rebounds the year I'm on. He's in his 3rd year. He just dominant stats. I heard it doesn't make his teammates better, though. Shoots 20. Man, he shot 24 shots a game in 1970. 1971, 27 shots a game. He doesn't really have that much help, though. His next best player is Stu Lance, an old 31-year-old Larry Siegfried. Rookie Calvin Murphy, though. Wow. And Rudy T, rookie. He's only got 14 minutes his first year. Wow. So there you go, Elvin Hayes. Easy. Cameron is saying, may the 4th be with you, Dime. Thank you too, my friend. Job potentially the future face of the NBA, says Showtime Nick. Up one of the faces. Not like LeBron status, though. Just a guy on YouTube says, do you think that 2018 Houston team could have beaten the Cavs if they met in the finals? Absolutely. Absolutely. They would have been favored. Cameron Asili said Houston would have gentlemen swept the Cavs. Nate Thurman or Wes Unseld? Oh, Jesus Christ. I got to wait till they finish their careers. I can't tell you right now. Very tough, though. I'd lean Unseld, but Thurman is just his defense is like insane. Oh my God, these are tough. Jerry Lucas or Chet Walker? That's pretty random. Jerry Lucas for sure. Jerry Lucas is top 75. I'll give him his due. Jerry Lucas was a monster. No, Jerry Lucas for sure, actually. I like Chet Walker a lot, but he's not like he was a pretty perennial all-star. I thought he was great in Philly, great, even better in Chicago. These first 2 years in Chicago, he's been great. They made the playoffs both years. But I wouldn't take him over Jerry Lucas. No. Darian, who was the third best big in the 60s after Bill and Wilt? I'd probably say Nate Thurmond. I'd take him over Bellamy. Oh, what? No, never mind. I'm sorry. Willis Reed. Yeah, Willis Reed is the third best. And then Nate Thurmond. Willis is the man, dude. Just got worst NBA jerseys, the Spurs, the Teddy Bears. I mean, the current, like, the jerseys change. Like, the current jerseys that they wear. Talking about current jerseys, the Spurs, bland. I don't like the Teddies. The Laker yellows are disgusting now. I don't like those. Clippers dojo logos are weak, but the color black, the black stuff is nice. The red and blue trim. But I don't like the dojo logo we have. It's hard to rank it, but whose ring is better, Giannis or Dirk? Dirk, come on, man. I think that the level of... You can argue Giannis played better, but Dirk's level of competition, it's not even close to me. Giannis, who did he play in the first round? Oh, the Miami Heat? Miami Heat were a pretty good team. They made him just look foolish, honestly. But that Blazers team wasn't a joke either. But I'd say you could argue the Heat were better, but a hampered Nets team versus the Lakers? No. The Lakers are definitely better. The Mavericks played really well in that series. And game 1 and game 3 were right there for the taking. Kobe could have done better. But Pau Gasol didn't have one good game. He had just a terrible playoffs overall. Mavericks were clutch, though. Dirk was just clutch. Clutch. And the defense was just top-notch. So I think that was better. And then Atlanta Hawks versus Kevin Durant, Westbrook, and Harden? Nah. And then the finals, the Suns versus the Heat? No, I'm going with Dirk, man. That level of competition. Dirk's far better. Do you frequent the Clippers subreddit or Reddit NBA? I should go there more, but I don't. I need to build up my fucking, what's it called? Quora. Say anything. Jerry West or Walt Frazier? Jerry. The thing about Walt is you can make arguments that peak for peak, but I don't know, man. Jerry West, he carried a franchise for a long time, and nobody in that era would tell you that Frazier was better. That's the thing when it comes down to. Nobody would tell you Frazier was better because he just didn't sustain that greatness. Jerry West could literally carry. I don't know if Clyde Frazier could carry your team. He leads, though, really well, and he's amazing. Like, his defense is great, but Jerry West, he's also a great defender, and he can literally just drop 40, like, any night. And Frazier is great, doesn't have that ability. He's not as athletic as, I think Clyde's pretty athletic, but not like Jerry. Jerry, like, he's a special athlete to me. I don't know. At the guard position. Just the way he moves. He's so fluid. Frazier, I love him, but I don't think he's Jerry. Jerry's like the Steph Curry of his era to me. His pull-up is just nuts, man. It's just so fast. And he just has just incredible longevity, the way he carried that Laker franchise time and time again in the finals. But Clyde was the best player on a championship team. However, it's not. The problem with Jerry is I think he could have won rings and like been the best player on a championship team. And if Bill Russell didn't exist, like I don't know, it's just the Celtics were just so absurd. But no excuses, right? You get the job done at the end sometimes. And he knows that, and it haunts him to this day. It's over-exaggerated, though. Here's my thing with Frazier. I love him, but when the Knicks started getting good, Bill Russell retired. And as great as those other teams that he played, it's not the Celtics. That's what I try to tell people. And the Celtics are different. That 60s team, they're different. You think you can just come back and win a championship every year without being different like that in any era? You think that's easy? Year after year, no injuries. You have to play against these all-star players. You don't think Jerry West and Elgin Baylor could have gotten one in there? It's not like the teams were insanely mismatched, like people like to say. That's the problem. People lie. People lie to discredit how great that Celtics team really was. Oscar Robertson has one ring when Bill Russell retired. You want to talk about nobody ate on Jordan's watch? Nobody ate on Bill Russell's watch. For real. Nobody ate on the Celtics watch. Period. 2 teams snuck in there. Bullshit. They really be playing with my boy Bill's name. Like, it's actually crazy. Nobody won. And it's not just Bill. Like, I have to give everybody else credit. But Bill's the leader. He's the constant. 11. Who has 11 rings? Bill. Does Red have 11 rings? No. Does Tommy? No. Does Kuzi? No. Does Hondo? No. Sam? Closest. 10. I fuck with Sam heavy. Rest in peace, my guy. My mixtape. Check out if you haven't seen my Sam Jones mixtape, you better check that shit out. The original 24. One of the clutchest players of all time. Says the Clipper color scheme is nice. I miss those late 2000s jerseys. Facts. Earl Monroe or Tiny Archibald. I haven't watched their careers, man, but I'm biased towards the Pearl. He's incredible. But Tiny Archibald is the first player to lead the league in points and assists totals. The way Trae Young did this year. 30 and 10, but it's on a shitty team. I think the Pearl is just his spin move, his ability to get in the mid-range, and his ball handling is just ahead of its time, right? He has so much flair. He's a tough shot maker. And just on the break, he's nice. And he just can get to his spot. If you can hit contested mid-ranges with that tight spacing, like, you're just nasty to me. I don't know if Tiny can do that. Earl's a little bigger. He's strong, but he's got great lower body strength. I like that about Pearl. So I'm going to go with Earl. But I got to watch more playing. I got to watch more tape. I think Tiny could be a better passer based on the assist numbers, but Pearl can pass too. I got to watch more. Kuzi or Frazier? Oh, stop. I like Kuz, man. No disrespect, but no. Frazier would make his life hell on the court. He would pick him up full fucking court and force him to his left hand and see what he's got. Like, straight up. I don't buy that belt Bob because he couldn't dribble his left shit. I just think that in that era, it was hard to dribble full speed with your left hand for anybody. And back then, I don't know. I just wish I could watch more tape on Kuzi. I'm not even going to judge. Maybe players did force him left. I have to judge that. I haven't watched the tape. But back then, you didn't just continue to go. You kind of usually pick up your dribble. Frazier's really good, though. He can just keep it going. He's so, I don't know. I don't know if it's his length, like what he does, but he's so good at shielding the ball. Kuzi was actually really good at shielding the ball, too, though. Frazier just has longer arms. But Frazier is just a different level to me. I think Frazier's better than Chris Paul. I think Frazier, like, that's how good I think Clyde Frazier. I think he's better than Jason Kidd. I think he's better than John Stockton. I think he's better than all these motherfuckers because he can just pull up in your face, going both ways on a dime, no screens. He's the best defender I've seen at the point guard position besides, like, Gary Payton, maybe. He's help defense is, like, out of nowhere. He'll come and get steals. He'll steal everything. He has the best hands I've ever seen, better than Chris Paul. And he's so clutch. Like, the way Chris Paul takes over games in the first round, that's Frazier in, like, the fucking last 2 rounds. There's a difference. You know what I'm saying? How late he's probably doing that. And also Clyde, he's not as ball dominant. He's so much better without the ball. That's another thing for me with Clyde. He just understands pace better. Like, I think Chris Paul is a little bit more control freak. I think Clyde Frazier's fine with scoring 8 points and locking up the other team's best player. You know, and I think you can argue that he had the luxury to do that. But Chris Paul also had the luxury to have better stats. Like, it goes both ways. I'm taking the guy that's won 2 championships and been the best player on a championship team. And nothing Chris Paul will do that can make me think he's better than Clyde. I just don't think he's better at basketball. Clyde's taller and he can guard better. And, like, I'm just taking Clyde. I like his style of play. I just think he's a smarter player when it comes down to it. I trust him to get the job done and know which buttons to push when it's needed. I think Chris Paul had a tendency more so with my team to be just a little bit too much of a control freak. He needs to, like, he doesn't trust Ayton all the time either to me now, but I think that he empowers him a lot still. But sometimes it's just like, I get it because he's so good with the ball and he's so comfortable with it. But it's what Isaiah Thomas said sometimes. He's a little too conservative for me sometimes. Clyde Frazier, I take over. I think he's just the 6th best point guard to me of all time. If I consider Jerry and Steph point guards, then Frazier's right outside the top 5. But if I'm considering no Steph or Jerry, because I know some people don't think of them as true point guards, then Clay's in my top 5. He's actually so good, and you're going to see why he's so good. If you haven't watched my video with him already, the Game 7, when he scored 36 points, 19 assists, and like at least 3 steals, go watch that right now after this video ends. Like, he's still living. He's in the NBA right now doing color commentary for the Knicks, so cherish him while he is here, please. There's actually footage on Clyde. Kyle's Take says, oh, yeah, Dirk's road to the chip was really hard, if not the hardest. Portland, then 2-time defending champs, Young Thunder, and Big Three Heatles. How about when you get to the 90s in your time machine, we can discuss Patrick Ewing or the Admiral? Absolutely. That's a great one. I've been thinking about that for a while. Oh, answered this question before I even saw it. If Harden never makes the finals, is he a Hall of Famer? Absolutely. Come on. James Harden's a complete Hall of Famer. Averaged 36 points on a winning team. Most painful commentary as a Clipper fan. I mean, for the Warriors, it's the Mike Breen commentary in the LeBron block. Ooh, Murray for 3 bang was tough. Really tough. The Ayton lob, I don't remember the exact words. I don't tend to replay those moments. So I'd say that. I don't tend to replay those moments. Right? It says, honestly, Darian, that's so true. It's such a lie saying that Jordan's the only player that never let anyone else eat his arrow. In reality, it's Bill Russell is the only one that can claim that. Facts. It's truth. Those shorts. But the thing about here's what I think I don't like, though. When MJ had a championship like when he reached the top of the mountain, he didn't really get knocked off. He came back in the middle of the season and got knocked. I'd hope you can beat a guy who just started playing pro basketball again. Like, you know what I'm saying? People that say that that's crazy that he lost, like maybe he did underperform in that series. I got to watch it. But it's like, what other player, like, I get it. You know, I bet you if LeBron came back, people would still be finding ways to hate on him. But that's crazy. You think a guy that just came back from the middle of the playing basketball in the middle of the season, played 30 games, didn't have training camp or anything, is going to lead a team to the championship out of nowhere? A team that was like, barely making the playoffs when he came? That's crazy. That's crazy to me. But when Jordan got to the top, he didn't really let anybody eat. When he was favorite, he got the job done. He didn't let anybody eat when he was favorite. But Russell, he did that, and when he was not favored, he still won. Those short sleeve jerseys in 2015 were trash, says just a guy on YouTube. I feel you. Which ones? Like for everybody? Right, Chowdhury says, put some respect on my man Kuz. He's a 6-time champion. He is. He also played with Bill Russell. A lot of these other guys didn't play with top 10 players like that. Like, to me, I love Kuz. I really do. I think he's a pioneer. The best point guard of all time until Oscar. I'd say like this. Chris Paul, he never played with a top 10 player ever to me. He didn't play with the LeBron or Kobe of his era. He could have. He was about to play with Kobe. But Kuz had that luxury. Jason Kidd, he didn't play with anyone like that. Melo and Dirk and Vince Carter. It's not Bill Russell. Nash, Amari's fantastic. Marion's great. He didn't play with that Kobe of his era. It's more teams. So it is a little bit harder in that sense, depending on what team you land on. But so that's the thing. Kuzi got Russell on it because Red Auerbach was a genius. It was tough to say for me. I'd probably put him in the top 10. Oh, yeah, I'd put him in the top 10. But I don't blame. Hey, listen. If you think Kuzi's better than Chris Paul because he's a champion and he's executing the big moments as a top 2 player on his team, I don't hold it against you. Like, the thing about it is Kuz for his era was better than Chris Paul too. Let's admit that. Which obviously in the 50s, it's not the same. The competition definitely was better. Not even then. I'm talking the 60s was better. Way better. So it's different. But he still showed he could hold his own in the game against Jerry. The only full game of Kuzi, he showed he can hold his own against Jerry and them. Your prediction still Dubs in 6? Yes, it is, says Kyle's Takes. Philosophical question, but what's your favorite pick and roll coverage? Drop, switching, hinging, icing, etc. Great question. And you know my answer is going to be annoying to you, but it's the truth. It's all about personnel. It's all about personnel. However, if I had to choose, like hard hedge, big man comes out and tries to make some contact, takes away the over the top pass, and your rotations are there, and you just hustle. When the first pass is made, you hustle back to your man. Hustle. That's how I feel. It's harder in this era, though, so I get why teams don't go to it as much. Cameron Aselli says, happy birthday, Ty Lue. Yes, a special happy birthday to our coach. I love you, coach. Is John Stockton to you overrated or underrated? Your opinion? I used to think as a kid, John Stockton was a little overrated because he didn't have a ring, and he played with Karl Malone. But John Stockton, all these years later, is underrated, especially since the Gen Z bots started that era. I never heard people disrespect John Stockton like this, but now you have people saying he's trash. I had someone telling me Trae Young was better than him already. Like, oh, peak for peak. Like, I don't think like he's just his offensive value. It's like, bro, he got exposed. Like Trae Young may have a better career than Stockton, and he's better at certain things, but as your point guard, I don't know if I want my 6'1" point guard being my best scorer if I'm trying to win rings. And that's fine. I know it's ironic because John Stockton didn't win any rings, but John Stockton is like a motherfucker on defense. Trae Young is a liability. 50% of the game. I don't give a shit what anybody says. It's easier to hide. You can't hide in the playoffs against elite opposition. Yeah, it's easier to hide in the regular season against bots, against these weak-ass teams, not against elite opposition. Especially back in that era when you had to actually play one-on-one defense. You had less manning up in zones and all this bullshit loading up shade right by help right behind you. You have a crowded rim, but if you can't guard on an island, you're going to get played off the court back in the 90s. And that's another thing we don't talk about. But you start hand checking. I don't think Trae Young hand checking would have mattered. But I'm not saying he wouldn't dominate or whatever. Actually, he wouldn't dominate. But I'm not saying he wouldn't be great in the 90s or whatever. John Stockton is underrated, though. Someone actually got mad at me and was really arguing that. I couldn't believe that. I think Darius Garland is better than he's white. It's because he's white. Riot Chattery says, but Darian, I thought you didn't care that Arden averaged 36 because you just manipulate the rules. Listen, when I'm talking about relative to Kobe's 36 or Michael Jordan or all these players, yes, but not when I'm talking about Hall of Famer. Dude, you know how hard it is to average 35 plus points in the NBA? How many players have done it? Wilt, Kobe, Mike, and Harden, right? Is there anyone else? Got to give him his credit where it's due. Cameron Aselli says, can't forget Breen when PG at the side of the back. Yeah, okay, there you go. That's the one. That's definitely the one. Showtime Nick says, definitely cherishing Clyde while he's still here, swishing and dishing, styling and profiling, weaving and achieving, bounding and astounding, duping and hooping. Kyle's take says, alley-oop. Oh, Ayton puts it down. He puts it down. Oh, my God. You out here with the fucking lines. Showtime Nick says the Bulls were just 2 games above 500 when MJ came back in 95 and finished 47-35. So there you go. That's incredible, man. I've watched this game, by the way, the 55 at the Garden. It's ridiculous. The mid-range, Starks is playing good defense. Poor guy. This guy's just, his elevation on his jumper is ridiculous. His mid-range, where he posts up, his lower body strength, doesn't do any of these offensive foul bullshit things that these players do now. How many players just commit offensive fouls when they try to post up now? It's absurd. The valley oop was a consequence of a push, but I was fine with it not being called, though it shattered my heart, says Cameron Aselli. I feel the same way. Kyle Steak says, when your team is in the middle of blowing a lead, what is the best thing to do to stop the bleeding, in your opinion? Get to the foul line. At Cameron Aselli, that was the birth of way off P. Oh, man. Oh, my God. No. Trae Young ain't at the level of John Stockton yet, says Kyle's Takes. Right? Chattery says, Gary Payton said John Stockton was harder to guard from than Jordan. That alone tells you how great he was. Facts. See, you know ball. Beluga says John Stockton didn't contest jump shots respectfully. He tried to block jump shots. Underrated defenders. Nice. I like that. Kyle Stick says, but is it right to place John Stockton in top 5? Yeah, I think it's right. It's everyone's opinion. I mean, we're talking, if people prioritize counting stats and first of all, assists, that guy racked them up. They took advantage of I'd say, from what I've seen, though, they take advantage of the illegal defense rule in a certain way we're going to talk about in the time machine. But it's not that much different than now spread pick and roll in certain ways. But it makes the read easier than it should be. We'll talk about it. Maybe I'm wrong, though. I haven't watched the full film, but I've just seen some ways where they take advantage of that by loading up by putting everyone on the weak side and just loading it up because they know nobody can come across the key until Malone catches the ball on the roll. WWE says, who's higher in your top 10, Kobe or Tim Duncan? I told you guys, I'm not going to rank Kobe and Tim Duncan until I watch their whole careers again. But Tim Duncan, as of now, I'd say Kobe because my years watching basketball, 05, 2016, Kobe was better. After the Achilles, obviously Duncan had those 3 years, so he was better for sure. But Kobe was better with my time watching basketball, so I'm going to have to go with Kobe. Phoenix Play Z says, Harden averaging 36 points per game on like 60% true shooting is still nuts. I don't care if he got his points in the line. Those are still points. There's no difference between 2 free throws and a layup. We're not denying that there's still points. It's just some of them, it's just not basketball, some of them, man. It's just very soft calls he was getting. And it's also just he's getting the ball every play running high pick and roll. Like, Chris Paul was injured and he carried the load and did a great job doing so. But it's like, it's cool. It's impressive. Right? It says Jordan had springs for legs, man. It's ridiculous. Yeah, he did. Showtime Nick says, I've showed you, but for everyone else here, I have met John Starks before. I have picked with him and Larry Johnson. That's dope. That pick is in my video destroying any notion of MJ's competition being weak. Right? He says, is Magic at the top all by himself when it comes to the greatest point guard, or is Steph at that doorstep? I don't think Steph's on that doorstep. I think Magic's at the top. By the way, burner account 3, I really appreciate this. Thanks. I don't know who you are, but I really appreciate that. Kyle's Take says, still happy to see Harden when he was averaging 36 points per game, though, especially now that he's declining. Phoenix Plays, he said, I think context matters. A lot of the passes that Stockton made weren't mind-blowing. I think any other decent point guard could have racked up assists feeding Malone. Oh, see, here we go. Like, okay, don't tell me you think that Malone only has points because of Stockton then. I hope that's not what you're saying. Because everybody seems to take one of that stance. Or some people that are just want to discredit both say the same thing for either. Which is it? Is Malone getting all those points because he had Stockton, or is Stockton getting all those points because of Malone? Because if it's both, that just shows you that they're great players. And you don't need to make fancy passes, mind blowing like Chris Paul doesn't make mind blowing passes. He makes great passes. Okay, you think that Malone's just nasty? I feel you're a Malone guy instead of a Stockton guy. Okay, that's fine. That's totally fair. It's your opinion, and I have to watch the film. LeBron and Magic are mind-blowing passes. Luka Doncic. Chris Paul makes great passes. But Stockton, I've seen him. Let's see. I'm saying Malone's a dominant force over Stockton. All right. At least you're taking a side. Because some people do the opposite. Malone's getting all the Stockton next to him. But, hey, league leader in steals, though. Forget the assists. By the way, it's still so hard to average 13 fucking assists, man. That shit is not easy. They probably played a good pace. Pick and roll. Probably pick and roll teams to fucking death. I thought the reads were harder when I didn't know about like how they could exploit the illegal defense rules because their spacing is tougher, but now I know I can exploit it. Predictions for tomorrow's games. Whew. I think the Mavs are winning. I don't know. I have a feeling they're going to win. And the Heat are going to take care of business. Anyway, that's it for me tonight, guys. Peace out. Make sure to comment on this video when I leave. Don't forget. Make sure to comment and make sure to like. We need that for the algorithms. Let's get this video to 300 views tonight, even though it wasn't great. Phoenix says he was a great defender. Don't get me wrong. I just think his offense overall was overrated. Fair enough. When were the best opportunities for Stockton and Malone to win a ring? Probably the years to win the championship, right? Anyway, that's it for me tonight, guys. Peace out. Leave a comment on the video. And, yeah, retweet on Twitter if you guys are on Twitter when I make the post about the episode. See you guys tomorrow.